Hi everyone, it's Miss Sarah from the Lucy Robbinsville's Library, and I want to tell you guys about one of the 2024 Elementary Nutmeg nominees, and that is Abdul's Story by Jamilah Thompkins-Bigelow. So, Abdul is a storyteller who loves to create stories about the kids and people he sees in his neighborhood. But writing stories is hard. His letters can get mixed up, silent letters sneak up on him, and his words just never want to stay on the page. In the end, his classmates, well, they always have nice and neat sentences. And Abdul, he only has smudges. So Abdul begins to feel discouraged. Maybe he's not meant to be a writer. After all the storybooks at his school never feature characters like the ones that he sees and writes about. And how can you be a writer if you can never write anything down? Well, one day Abdul's class gets a special visitor whose name is Mr. Muhammad, and he is a writer, and he helps Abdul have the courage to write through his messiness so that his good words can come through. Because, after all, the best writers and superheroes make mistakes. So definitely check out Abdul's Story.
What if you were not allowed to do something you really wanted to do? This is what happened to Alma Thomas, at least when she was a young girl. Ablaze with Color, a story of painter Alma Thomas, is the stunning celebration of art and the power of imagination, written by Jeanne Walker Harvey and illustrated by Loveis Wise. Ablaze with Color starts with Alma as a young girl living in Georgia and tells her life story. With this book, you will read about what Alma's family had to do so Alma and her sisters could get an education. Read how Alma Thomas was the first Black woman to have had her art displayed in a solo exhibition in a museum. This true story will continue all the way to how one of Alma's most famous paintings is now hanging on the wall in a very important house in the United States. Read this fabulous story of Alma Thomas, her artistic talents, and how she reached out to the young community to teach and bring art into their lives too.
Have you ever heard of the ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act? Well, because of the ADA, our libraries, schools, and other public buildings have elevators and ramps so people who use wheelchairs can access the building. The ADA is a law passed in 1990 that protects people with all sorts of disabilities, and you will learn more about it in All the Way to the Top, How One Girl's Fight for Americans with Disabilities Changed Everything, by Annette Pimentel, with pictures by Nabi H. Ali. This picture book biography tells the story of Jennifer Keelan Chaffins, whose work as a young activist helped to get fair treatment for people with disabilities. She attended her first protest when she was only 6 years old and has been using her voice ever since to fight for equal rights for people with disabilities. When you read this biography, you will learn about Jennifer's own struggles in her community and her motivation for becoming an advocate for people, and especially children with disabilities. Maybe you will even feel inspired to get involved and stand up for something you believe in. Stacy McAnulty, author of books such as Moon, Earth's Best Friend, and Mars, Earthing's Welcome, has another fun and interesting title called Brains, Not Just a Zombie Snack, with illustrations by Matthew Rivera. This book is jam-packed with fascinating facts about brains, as told by the narrator, who just so happens to be a zombie. I mean, who better to help you learn about your brain than a brain-loving zombie? Don't worry, this zombie has very recently given up eating brains, so you and your luscious brain should be perfectly safe as you learn about neurons and lobes and how the human brain compares to animal brains and so much more. This book is so much fun, you might not even realize how much you are learning. Hello, let me tell you about a 2024 Nutmeg nominee I just read called Cornbread and Poppy by Matthew Cordell. It's a short chapter book with lots of awesome illustrations. So Cornbread and Poppy are best friends, even though they are quite different from each other. Cornbread loves to plan ahead and be prepared, while Poppy prefers to live in the moment. When winter rolls around, Cornbread has foraged, that means to search and gather, enough food to last all winter. But Poppy has not foraged any food. In fact, Poppy has waited so long that there may not be anything left to forage. How will Poppy survive the cold winter without food? This predicament leaves Poppy with no choice but to go on a risky journey up Holler Mountain. Will she be able to survive this dangerous expedition? Read this sweet tale of friendship to find out.
Dear Earth, from your friends in Room 5 by Erin Dealey. The kids in Room 5 write monthly rhyming letters to the Earth, who writes them back. The kids write what they are doing to conserve, like making a vegetable garden or using less plastic, and the Earth writes back with some helpful tips. Some of the kids form an Earth Heroes Club where they practice conservation and protecting the environment. Be sure to read the very last page for the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and renew.
Tula Tula is a private game reserve, which is a safe place for animals to live. Tula Tula is in South Africa. This book, The Elephants Come Home, a true story of 7 elephants, 2 people, and 1 extraordinary friendship, is written by Kim Tomsic and illustrated by Hadley Hooper. It is the true story of Tula Tula, a herd of elephants, and 1 extraordinary man named Lawrence Anthony and his wife, Francoise Melby Anthony. In this book, you will read the fascinating story on how Lawrence and Francoise rescued a herd of wild African elephants, and how Lawrence was able to keep these angry, frightened elephants calm and safe. You will also be amazed by the love this herd of elephants had and shared with Lawrence and Francoise. Because of Lawrence's extraordinary work and love for this herd, he got the name Elephant Whisperer. This was an amazing true story that I hope you read and enjoy. If you have a disability, such as not being able to hear anything, would you be limited on what you could achieve in life? Some of you might say yes, some of you might say no. Well, Kitty O'Neill said no way and did not let her lack of hearing stop her from doing whatever she wanted to do. She was a competitive swimmer and diver. She was a stunt woman in movies and so much more. One of her most amazing accomplishments was her race car driving. Read this book by Dean Robbins and illustrated by Elizabeth Baddeley. The Fastest Girl on Earth, meet Kitty O'Neill, Daredevil driver, to see all the amazing accomplishments Kitty O'Neill has done and the world record that she broke. Kitty O'Neill was truly unstoppable.
Hi everyone, it's Miss Bailey again. Let's talk about nonfiction. So nonfiction is all about true stories and facts. So here in How to Find a Fox, you will learn so much more about these special creatures. So you can actually read this book in 3 ways. You can just look at the pictures on your own, and trust me, they are very eye-catching. Look at this very first image. You can read the big print on your own. So for example, you'll most likely find the big print at the top. And the big print will tell you how and where to find a fox. And then lastly, with your grown-up, you can read a paragraph. If your grown-up can read it to you, you can read it by yourself, whatever you prefer, all about information on fox life. So for example, I learned that foxes actually don't hibernate at all. You can find them during all 4 seasons. So if you want to be prepared for seeing a fox in the wild, or just want to look at some amazing photos, please check out How to Find a Fox.
It Fell from the Sky by the Fan Brothers. A strange object falls into a garden, and the insects try to figure out what it is. They're not quite sure, but Spider comes along and claims this wondrous object for himself and builds an exhibition to show it off, charges admission for all to see. But then disaster strikes. The object is stolen and the exhibit destroyed. What will Spider do? This is a humorous point of view story with beautiful, amazing illustrations.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Bailey, and let's talk about The Little Wooden Robot and the Log Princess by Tom Gold. This book is for all the fairy tale fans out there. You have a wooden boy, a forest witch, a kingdom, and of course, adventures. So here's the backstory. You have the king and queen who have always wanted a child of their own. And so the king goes to visit the royal inventor and the queen goes to visit a clever witch that lives in the woods. When they come back, they each have a child. And so the king comes back with a wooden robot and the queen comes back with a log that was brought to life as a princess. And so they become a family and they love each other very much. The only hiccup is that at night, the princess still turns into a log. And there are magical words that can be said to wake her up in the morning. So usually her brother, the wooden robot, takes over and does that in the morning. So as you can imagine, this can lead to some very unfortunate misunderstandings, which is exactly what happens. One day, the little wooden robot forgets to wake up his sister. He's super excited. There's a circus in town, and a maid comes in, and she sees a log in the princess's bed. She's grossed out, and she throws the log out the window. So, talk about starting off an adventure. The little robot goes on a quest to rescue his sister, and the thing is, will he ever find her? What will happen along the way? And if he does find her, how will they ever make it home? So please check out The Little Wooden Robot and the Log Princess.
Let's talk about another awesome Nutmeg nominee, and that is Melly Bean and the Giant Monster by Mike White. This graphic novel adventure tells the story of Melly, a young puppy who has energy to spare and is always up for a game or two. On the other hand, the trio of cats that she lives with would much rather spend the day napping than play another one of Melly's games. So when Melly won't leave them alone, the cats come up with an idea to have Melly bury a shoe in the backyard. But what the cats didn't expect was that there was already a hole in the backyard, one that Melly keeps digging and eventually falls through. This hole leads Melly into a whole other world. So once Melly falls through the hole, she ends up waking up and finding herself on top of a giant monster, one that kind of looks like a bunny. Well, this monster is being hunted down by the kingdom's knights. But Melly, on the other hand, just thinks this is an opportunity to make a new friend. The monster's not so sure about that. They have their own problems after all. But a puppy like Melly might just be what this kingdom needs. and what this monster needs. So this story is inspired by author Mike White's actual puppy, Melody. You can kind of see her down there, who was nicknamed Melly Bean. This graphic novel is awesome because it shows readers that you don't have to be the chosen one or even magically gifted to save the day. Sometimes you just have to be yourself. So give it a read.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Bailey and I want to share with you Sir Ladybug by Corey Tabor. So, ladies and gentlebugs, presenting the Duke of the Dandelion Patch, the champion of truth and justice, the one, the only, Sir Ladybug. Defender of those in need, Sir Ladybug never backs down from a quest, even if he'd rather be baking or playing video games. When Caterpillar needs rescuing from a terrible monster, Sir Ladybug and his trusty sidekicks, Pell the roly-poly herald, and Sterling the squire snail, are ready to save the day. Together, they will come up with the perfect plan, and it just might leave you craving some lemon cake. Read this book to find out what happens to poor Caterpillar, and to find out the many different ways that one can be brave. Also, if you like the Bug Scout graphic novel series or Bird and Squirrel series, you'll want to check this out too. I hope you enjoy.
Sugar in Milk by Thridi Umriger. A young girl moves to New York City to live with her aunt and uncle, leaving the rest of her family behind. Missing her home, her auntie tells the girl the story of Sugar and Milk. Long ago, a group of Persians were forced to leave their homeland and sail to India, where the ruler did not want to let them in. The leaders of the two groups, the Persians and the Indians, didn't speak each other's language, but used milk and sugar to explain their points of view. This fable makes an important impact on the girl. As you can see, there are some beautiful illustrations in here.
Everyone, my name is Miss Sarah and I want to tell you guys about one of my recommendations for 3rd and 4th grade readers. And that is the Wind Riders series. So our very first book is Wind Riders, Rescue on Turtle Beach by Jeanne Marlin. So this is a great series for anybody who's been a fan of Magic Treehouse. Except instead of a treehouse this time, our main characters are using a magical boat to travel wherever an injured animal might need them. So in our very first book, it seems like it's going to be a normal day. That is until the seagull shows up. So Max and Sophia, our main characters, they follow this injured seagull trying to help him, but the seagull leads them to a boat in the woods, and this is an abandoned sailboat. It's pretty run down, but when they step on board the boat, it transforms itself back into its original shape and magically brings them to Hawaii. Well, when they get there, they discover a nest of baby sea turtles just about to hatch. But there's a problem. There's a hotel nearby the beach that's about to have a big party that night, and all the lights from that party are going to distract the sea turtles. See, baby sea turtles need to follow the light of the moon in order to find their way back to the ocean, but if they see the lights of the party, they're going to head the wrong way. So Max and Sophia have to find a way to help these baby sea turtles get back to the ocean. So this is a great series all about animal conservation, which basically just means helping endangered animals. And at the end of our book, so this is at the end of every Wind Riders, there's a little bit of information about where they traveled, so in this case Hawaii, and as well as the animal they helped. But if you'd like to learn even more about sea turtles and how we can help them, or even about seagulls, we have a lot of great nonfiction books here at the library for you to check out. So definitely give Wind Riders a chance. This is an awesome series about endangered animals and what we can do to help them.